Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
Championship so close you can taste it. Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100. Side by side. And your new champion, Christian Rasmussen.
Welcome back, race fans, to Road to Indy TV Live. I'm here with Rob Howden, the Series Development Director of the Road to Indy. Rob, busy day today, but we've got another race coming up, race 2 of USF2000.
Well, again, the great thing about here at St. Petersburg right now, the fans are back, so every time I'm trying to walk through, you're kind of dodging fans. People are having an awesome time. But you're right, we're working our way through. We get our second USF2000 event in the books here this afternoon. Christian Brooks, of course, getting the day off to a great start with his first win of the 2021 season. Press the reset button, do it again later today. A question I, of course, have for you, because you've done this before. Success in the first race, how does that play on your success in the second race, and vice versa? If you had an issue in the first race, what does that do to your mindset coming into race number 2?
Well, here's something that I can relate to. A lot has happened. I know the races are on the same day. They raced in the morning, now they're racing at the late. They're going to be one of the last races of the day. But the track has changed so much.
Indeed.
You know, it's gotten a lot hotter. You can probably tell I'm sweating on the broadcast.
Warm.
It's a little breezy, which is nice. That's saving me. But then to top it all off, we've had IndyCar go out, we've had MX5 Cup go out, we've got all these different tire rubbers down on the track, completely going to change these USF17s.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the big thing. And one of the things, too, I noticed when I was on pit lane for the Indy Lights race, the wind almost directly in their faces, a little bit coming from left to right. But as they come down the straightaway, you're in that draft. That wind's right in your face. You got to pull the full draft before you pull out, because you're going to get that hit in the wind as well. But it may play to the draft a bit into turn number 1.
Well, it plays to the draft and it plays to the downforce as well.
Yeah,
you know, when
right.
you're in that headwind with the extra downforce, you can brake a lot deeper.
There you go. Good insight.
Yeah, and then we talk about insight. I would say every driver that I've had on in my experience on the Road to Indy, with the IndyCar rubber going down, you get a lot more grip on the track, particularly in the rear of the car for these USF17 cars and the PM18 cars. So
and that, you know what, that plays to what I'm hearing as well. Exactly that. Guys are telling me that they're having that kind of entry understeer with the rears are really gripping up and pushing that car through the corner. So they're trying to make some adjustments to the front to make it a little more positive.
And one thing we didn't have in 2020, what we didn't realize, the rookies in 2020 never really experienced the IndyCar weekends and the IndyCar rubber because we always ran before it. So you're going to find the third-year guys that were around in 2019 that remember what that rubber feels like. They're going to have a big advantage going into this race.
I'm hoping that what happened, of course, if you watched that opening race, we had a lot of chaos, a number of drivers making, I think, some really, really low percentage moves, and a couple drivers getting penalties, 30-second penalties, both Josh Green and Jace Denmark getting penalties. Of course, Green making contact with Michael D'Orlando, and then Jace Denmark making contact with Bajoy Gardner to put him out for the weekend. Both those drivers dropping down the order of 30-second penalties. I like the fact that they dropped the hammer because that's something that needs to happen. Neither of those passes were anywhere close to being done in one and in turn number 10. Joel Miller, who is the race director, had to drop the hammer on that.
Well, and I have to say, I'm a former driver on the road to Indy, so I'm on the other side of the fence now.
All right.
But the race director needs to set the precedent, needs to set the bar early in the season. Because that's what everybody judges off of, right? As a former driver, if I watch somebody get away with something at the early part of the season, why can't I do that?
And that's it, right? You set the precedent, like you said, and that's good to get it done here early on. A couple issues, as we said, get drivers further back in the pack having that big wreck over in turn number 7. But overall, I think the drivers out front, we saw here in the second weekend, Parker, guys starting to step to the forefront, right? The Christian Brooks showing what he had. Matt Round-Garrido, what a great weekend he's having so far in his second outing with Exclusive Autosport. I'm interested to see what happens here now, though. Kiko Porto, who won here last year in his first ever race win in USF2000 at the finale, he's on pole here in the D-Force racing car. They've been strong. If he gets out front, let's see what Brooks does, because Brooks, he told it. We did a Cooper Tire Q&A here. He said if the opening's there, he's going to go for it. But he's got a pretty good point lead right now after issues for Prescott Campbell in race 1. Does he hold back and just take P2?
You know, knowing Christian's personality, I have to say I don't think he's going to hold back. And if I'm Kiko Porto, I am not banking on the third race of the season, or the fourth race, that is,
sure enough,
for Christian Brooks to say, you know what, Kiko, you have this one.
Yeah.
No. Christian is going to be doing everything he can. And he might be cool and calm with you, but I can tell you that he's going to be he's going to make that Exclusive Autosport machine a red mist to get by Kiko Porto.
Well, on the other thing, let's talk about this. If you win both races in a weekend, obviously we've had 3 different winners this year, right? Yeah, we've had the first one was Juven Sundermurthy, Prescott Campbell, race 2, Christian Brooks, race 3. When you sweep a weekend, that's putting your stamp on the race, right? On the weekend. Like, I want to come back here. I'm here to win the championship. It'll be the first time a driver could have swept. Or we'll have 4 different winners.
Well, and usually we'd have to probably go to Steve Wittich to get the actual percentage on this. But usually on the road to Indy, the first guy to win 2 races is pretty good for the championship.
Wow, that's true. That's interesting. And again, so what do you think about Kiko Porto here right now? He wasn't really there, kind of in the hunt. I think he finished 5th or 4th in the opening race there. What do you think about him here starting from pole? The first couple of corners, even Christian said this in our Q&A, only nervous about the first couple of corners.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go back even further and go to Barber Motorsports Park because it's a short turnaround, right? It's only, 5 business days before they had to be back here doing the same thing. He had a slow start. A lot of the teammates that came into D-Force Racing that weren't new to the team, or that he was new to the team, they weren't I was very surprised how he didn't take control of the team. He wasn't the lead guy, right? You
within the inner team. Yeah, the inner team. Yeah, I hear that.
So if I'm Kiko Porto, I'm going, I got to set the president back and get the ball in my court. It's not even just get through the first couple corners thing. It's put a stamp on the championship. Let David Martinez know that I'm the lead guy at D-Force Racing to back.
So it's not even so much where he's going to be within the championship. You think really this could be an opportunity for him to set the precedent within the team, get himself back where he needs to be, saying, listen, I'm the guy that's going to lead this team. You guys are new to the squad. This is me going for the race win.
And if we're talking about that intra-team battle, to kick a teammate while he's down, Prescott and a couple of those guys at D-Force Racing, Nolan being sick this weekend, Prescott not having a great race there at the first race.
Eli Navarro had an issue as well in qualifying.
I'm going, Kiko, you've been presented with a golden platter.
That's true.
You need to take advantage of it to really get the team support.
We look at the grid. We saw how good Christian Brooks was. He'll start on the outside of the front row. Matt Round-Garrido right in there as well. Really strong for Exclusive Autosport. Of course, they were 1st, 2nd, and 4th with Billy Fraser in P4. What about Michael D'Orlando? I think he's starting 4th for this race. He was upside down on his head in turn number 1. How does that play to the psyche? Can he press the reset button? Can he come back unshaken and try to go for a podium or a race win.
You know, Michael's personality, he trains in UFC. He's a fighter, a literal fighter.
That's a good point.
I don't think he's going to have any problem strapping back in and going for it.
Yeah.
And I think he's starting 5th. So, listen, you're in the top 5. He's on the inside. He's in the mix. Knowing that Cape is where they are right now, I think he's going to really hold the torch for them and go, okay, I got a podium to go get.
For the rookies, I'm excited to see what the guys have done. Billy Fraser, again, impressive run for him for sure. Miles Rowe having a good drive. But Spike Kohlbecker for Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports. Spike able to get a new top 10 finish there. He's the driver. I keep saying that once he gets more comfortable and gets into his groove, let's say, I think he's going to be good at Indianapolis, but once we get as well to Road America, I think that'll be a chance where he'll really be comfortable in the car. I look for Spike Kohlbecker to have another good top 10 run here.
He's mature.
Yeah.
You know, he's not taking unnecessary risks. That's what I like about him. I talked with him actually at Hospitality, and he said, you know what? We knew this weekend, I didn't know the track coming in. We knew it was going to be chipping away at it, and I think he's done just that. Let's go see what race 2.
You got to have the right expectations. Every driver's going to tell you he's here for a race win, but when you don't have the experience like Spike Cole does in this particular program, Canadian Formula 4, British Formula 4, Toyota Racing Series, F4, the guy's done a lot of open wheel racing, but this is his first year in the road to Indy, different car, different racetracks, and I think if he's able to stay focused, he'll be a guy to watch, as I said, later on in the season.
Yeah, and then lastly, I'd like to talk about Miles Rowe. I think he's starting 7th this race.
This guy's done a great job, man. 2 top 10 starts. He may be able to go for a top 5.
I really think he can. And, you know, he's just going to get the momentum rolling. St. Pete, a daunting place to come, you know. And it's funny, we mentioned that race 1 probably wasn't the cleanest that we wanted to have on the road to Indy. Usually this is the first race of the year. So all the rookies have to come to the walls. Now we've had a race. They've had a few test days. Just because those jitters are gone doesn't make this place any less daunting.
Or are they overconfident for race number 1, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, as we move into race 2 coming up at 5:20 p.m., I got a chance to take a simulator around the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
I like it.
Had a lot of fun with Symmetric Performance, and I think it's a great way to show the fans around the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. So we'll cut into that. Coming up, race 2 of USF2000. Race car drivers are always looking for a leg up. And with modern day racing at an all-time high for cost, the best way to do that is through sim racing. I'm here with Greg DeGeorgis, owner of Symmetric Labs, and he's going to take us behind the scenes on what it's like to run a high-performance simulation. Greg, what have we got here? How did you get into sim racing, and what are you offering for the Road to Indy athletes?
Yeah, so we really offer drivers a head start on the racing weekend to take the first bite off of their learning curve to get prepped on at races and everything. My background is as a data engineer. I am not a driver or a driver coach, but I've worked with a lot of championship-winning teams, drivers, coaches, and efforts to get drivers prepared. So I know what it takes to win.
Take me through the process of becoming a Symmetric Labs customer.
It's really simple. We offer unlimited packages to drivers where they come in for a flat fee and they drive as much as they want for the entire race weekend. So there's no counting a clock or anything like that. To get the most out of it or anything. We'll take multiple appointments throughout the race week, and we usually front load on load in and practice day, and then we'll usually do morning warm-ups before qualifying into a race day to get drivers fully ready to go. So at 8 o'clock in the morning before an early qualifying or something like that, they're ready to turn really fast laps.
What do you view as the biggest jump these drivers are getting when they get on the sim? For me, when I get on the sim, it's usually for track learning, but I'm sure they're learning a lot more than just how to go around the track. What are they learning on the race weekends, and what are you teaching them?
Yeah, so like you said, a lot of what people assume with simulators is that all they can learn is new tracks. That's true. It's definitely a big part of it. But we can also teach drivers to get really comfortable. I have excellent models of all 3 of the Road to Indy cars that I developed in-house with all the logger, tire, manufacturer data, and a lot of feedback from real drivers so they feel as real as possible. So with really, really good car and track models, we can actually work on even focus conditioning with these drivers where they know the car, they know the track, and we're going to let them run in the sim for an hour with the heat on, all over their gear. I'm going to intentionally try to distract them, force them into mistakes, and then really try to work on their entire race stint or their stint performance.
Let's get to the real meat and potatoes though, which is the sim. This thing is gorgeous. Now, what simulator are you using?
So this is the CXC Simulations Motion Pro 2. It's about a $100,000 sim. It's really the best sim that money can buy that also fits in an 8-foot wide trailer.
Wow. Okay, well, I can't wait to get on it. It looks unbelievable.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones with too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
For the second round of the Road to Indy Championships, we are here in sunny Florida to take battle on the streets of St. Petersburg. This unique street circuit is 14 turns, 1.8 miles, and it's enclosed by concrete walls. It is one of the toughest street circuits that the Road to Indy drivers will have to face this year, as it is not only as wide as an airport runway down Albert Whitted Airport, it's as narrow as a crosswalk as we get into the streets of St. Petersburg and we come down here down Bayshore Drive. As drivers barrel down Albert Whitted Runway, they reach speeds of over 150 miles per hour as they somehow have to get the car stopped from a track as wide as a runway to as narrow as a sidewalk in turns 1 and 2. We move on to turn 4, one of the biggest brake zones on the track, and the drivers will have to face the crown in the road as they meet the heart of downtown St. Petersburg and the tricky streets. The next notable corners are turns 8 and 9, which set the run back down Bayshore Drive in towards turn 10. As you exit turn 10, you're almost home, but drivers can't get distracted by all of the yachts in the marina. Turns 11 and 12, one of the most tricky. It's flat out, but it's hairy. It's right on the edge of concrete versus machine. Turns 13 and 14 set up your most important run, no pun intended, as you get back onto the Albert Whitted runway and cross the start-finish line here at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. My name is Rob Howden, joined by Todd Lewis in the booth as the drivers just starting to roll out onto the racetrack here. The pit cart's coming out as well. The Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship will cap off the day here. Again, just about 5:15 local time. It's been an absolutely tremendous day here trackside in St. Petersburg. Couldn't ask for much more right now. 81 degrees, sunny. Todd Lewis, this is absolutely perfect. Florida, love it.
This is why we're here in Florida, isn't it? That's not that kind of temperature, that kind of sunshine at the end of April. There is nothing better. Well, that and some great racing action, as we saw earlier with the USF2000 series in round number 1 of this weekend doubleheader here in St. Petersburg. A lot of action, some of it rather costly for a few other teams. Let's hope that we can run green flag laps in this 20-lap race this afternoon to wrap things up today. We had some struggles in the early going.
Yeah, we're going to lose a couple of drivers here. A lot of incidents on track, so we'll see how many drivers report to the final race of the day. Let's have a look at the grid. I'll just throw it out here for you. The ones that I know, I haven't had a chance to really work through the paddock. 26 drivers are set to go here. Again, some of them aren't going to be able to make the call. The number 16 of Kent Vaccaro scheduled to start in the in the 26th position. I believe Kent with a hand injury after that wreck over in turn 7 in the opening lap. Trey Burke, the number 63 will be back on track. He'll start 25th. On road 12, it'll be Nolan Siegel on the outside, the driver from Palo Alto, California, in the J. Howard driver development number 10. Inside the 42 of Michael Myers, the Indiana driver, the number 42, as I said, starting in 23rd. Moving up to row 11, Eli Navarro outside of that row in the 22nd position, the Lucas Oil School of Racing champion last year in the number 1 for D-Force Racing. He'll be in the number 1 machine. And then inside of that row, Grant Palmer for Exclusive Autosport in the number 90, starting in the 21st spot. Into the top 20 now, Evan Stammer, the driver who got hit from behind in the opening corner. Damage to that car. He'll finally, ideally, get a full run here. The driver for Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports out of Illinois in the 3. He'll start 20th alongside Jackson Lee for J. Howard Driver Development in that number 8 machine. Row number 9 will have Billy Fraser. Deep start for Fraser, the driver out of New Zealand in the 91 for Exclusive Autosport. 4th in the opening round. A great race car, so keep an eye on Billy Fraser to move forward. It's an all-Kiwi row number 9. His fellow New Zealander Peter Vodanovic will be on the inside in the number 9 for Jay Howard Driver Development. So it's Vodanovic and Fraser on row 9. Row 8, Prescott Campbell, a winner at the Barber Motorsports Park, starting deep in the field in 16th and the number 11, while Velocity Racing Development driver Eric Evans, the number 26 out of Georgia, starting in 15th. Row 7, Dylan Christie on the outside in the number 34, while Bejoy Gard was scheduled to start in the 13th spot. He was involved in the big incident over in turn number 10. He will not make the call, car too damaged. So again, all those drivers behind moving up at least one spot. Chase Denmark in the number 23, starting in the 12th position alongside Josh Pearson, all Pabst Racing on row number 6. Row 5 into the top 10 for the first time, a good qualifying effort. Andre Castro, the Legacy Autosport number 19, has been getting better and better throughout the weekend. It'll be a P10 start for Castro. He'll start alongside the rookie from Canada, Thomas Deveau, for Cape Motorsports in the number 2. Row 4, 7th and 8th on the outside. The other driver for the Ignite Autosport team with Cape Motorsports, Spike Kolbecker out of St. Louis, Missouri in the number 5, starting in the 8th spot. Inside for Force Indy, Miles Rowe in the number 99. A couple of top 10 starts for Miles Rowe. Row 3, Yuvan Sundermurthy got the season off to a great start, won the opening round at Barber Motorsports Park. A strong podium finish in the race number 1 here today. He's in the point lead, tied with Christian Brooks. Sundermurthy launching from the outside of row 3. Inside of that row, the driver who was upside down mid-race over in turn number 1, Michael D'Orlando out of Hartsdale, New York for Cape Motorsports. 4th last year in the championship. He'll start P5 here, looking to rebound from the incident in the opening race. Row number 2, Josh Green in the number 33 for Turn 3 Motorsport. He'll be on the outside. Second-year driver alongside Matt Round-Garrido out of the UK. Round-Garrido for Exclusive Autosport. Loving the race car he's got now. It'll be a P3 start, number 92, starting in 3rd. Podium finish in the opening round. The driver who won the opening race here at St. Petersburg, Christian Brooks in the number 44 for Exclusive Autosport, the Californian, the point leader, alongside Yuvan Sundermurthy, both drivers with 66 points. He'll be on the outside of the front row. The driver who will launch from pole out of Brazil. Winner last year along with Brooks at the final round here at St. Petersburg, Kiko Porto for D-Force Racing, laying down a 112.084 to grab the pole position, just about 0.02 of a second quicker than Brooks. The opening corner, Todd Lewis, is the one that we always watch for. It'll be Brooks and Porto on row 1, Porto on the inside. Round-Garrido and Green row 2, or D'Orlando and Sundermurthy on row number 3. Again, out of turn 14. We hold our collective breaths and hope they come out cleanly from turn number 3.
Well, the good news is that we did get through corner number 1 relatively unscathed in race number 1. We did have one car go around in corner number 1. The trouble came a little further along in lap number 1 with a multi-car collision, cars up against the wall, a lot of damage to a number of cars, and as you mentioned, a few of them aren't going to be able to answer the call for race number 2. But the series also made the right call to red flag the race at that point, brought all the cars back into pit lane, quickly cleared away the 4 cars that were left to give these drivers maximum amount of track time. We did get back out. There were a number of cautions. In fact, I believe there were 5 cautions total, in the first race. So that did reduce the amount of consistent green flag running that we've seen. Hopefully we've gotten through that. Everybody's learned a few things and probably had a few conversations and looked at some video since this morning and had a chance to review their performance, and hopefully we have a smoother run this afternoon.
And the great thing for the road to Indy, we do have a nice window of time, block of time. It's not like it's a 30-minute race. It's 40 minutes, 20 laps. At least that was for the first event. That gave us time, even with those yellow flags, to go red, allow them to get more green, instead of just have them circulating around. And we needed to go red as well, because where that incident was in the opening corner from deep in the field there, that was the tightest part of the racetrack, and we really couldn't even bring the wreckers in. It's so tight there. Couldn't get the wreckers in to pick the cars up, 2 at a time if the cars were still circulating. This particular race, again, 20 laps, 40 minutes. But you're right. Thankfully, we were able to get some green flag racing for those drivers early on in the weekend.
Engines are just firing along pit road. The crews making their way back into their pit area, getting the drivers get set to pull away from pit lane. They'll make their way around and then, yes, get lined up coming out of corner number 14. And hopefully we get smoothly underway here through lap number 1 and continuing through the first 20.
Yeah, top 3 rows, all second-year drivers, which is nice. And in terms of the start, guys that have done it before, you got to go back to row number 4. A couple of rookies in Miles Rowe and Spike Kohlbecker. Kohlbecker with a lot of seat time, though, in racing. Former Canadian Formula Ford driver, British Formula Ford driver. Also ran down the Toyota Racing Series this season in F4. So he's had a lot of racing experience in open wheel. Not so much for Miles Rowe, but he's been strong. And that Force Indy, number 99, you see him rolling by. There's Spike Kohlbecker and the number 2 of Thomas Devoe. We've got the 19 of Andre Castro further back. Josh Pearson with the 24. Chase Denmark with the 23. There's the 34 as well of Dylan Christie. Guys rolling by here. The number 9 of Jackson Lee. Number of drivers involved in the incident not able to roll off. You see a couple drivers there with sticker tires. That looks to me like potentially that might have been Nolan Siegel, I think, with fresh rubber. Siegel going by in the number 10. It might have been one of the Jay Howard driver development cars on fresh rubber. Not sure who that was, but somebody's got sticker tires. That's going to help here on a Saturday afternoon.
That's what we talked about a little bit through the weekend, is how they manage the tires, the 3 sets that they get for their weekend. They get the 1 carryover set that you mentioned for the first round of practice, but then 3 new sets that they have to deal with 2 races and 2 qualifying sessions. So good of someone to think ahead. Yes, we'll keep those sticker tires on the car for race number 2 and maybe give them an opportunity to make a leap forward in the early going.
That looks like fresh tires right there. Yeah, I think that's the number 8 of Jackson Lee. He's got fresh rubber, as does the 34 of Dylan Christie. That could really play, but again, you have to have had the setup correctly. Remember, we just had another IndyCar qualifying session. A lot of rubber down. The Indy Lights put rubber down. MX5 Cup had a long race as well. Every time these drivers come onto the racetrack, it's different, which makes it so tough because it's hard to predict. Of course, the engineers have to make the right call in terms of getting the setup dialed in. The drivers have to get an immediate feel for the way to take the corners. This lap here around the racetrack, a sighting lap, dials things in. Pace car getting ready to duck on off, and it'll do that right now. Coming out of 14, drivers working their way into the hairpin. Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks on row 1. Matt Roungarito, Josh Green, row 2. Michael D'Orlando and Yuvan Sundaramurthy, row number 4. 6 sophomore drivers. In fact, Sundaramurthy in his 3rd year into the punch-off zone. 250 feet box where they're able to push off, but it's got to be Kiko Porto first. He's waiting. He's ready to spool up, and he goes. Green, green, green. Christian Brooks trying to come across, and he does. Tucks right in behind his teammate. Matt Roungarito giving him enough room to go into turn 1. Brooks looking ready to go to the outside. Roungarito to the inside. Brooks trying to make it work. Hanging the cushion. Not able to do it. He slots into P number 2. Kiko Porto leading out of the opening couple of corners. MRG. Matt Roungarito goes to P3. You can see Billy Fraser on the outside coming through turn number 3 as well. This is where they'll scatter them. 2 wide down into turn number 4. Be Smart coming through here into the tight part of the racetrack, Todd. 5, 6, and 7. We know the tightest part of the track, turn 7, then the double apex 8 and 9. Just hoping they can get through cleanly this time through.
Looking good so far. They have strung out in single file through the first 15 or so cars, it looks like. In fact, just about the entire field now, single file, getting through lap number 1 smoothly as they make their way out onto the back part of the course now. And again, picking up a little bit of speed as they head towards that challenging corner 10, which is another area that's caught drivers out, and looking good so far through the first 10 or so.
Indeed, opening lap, hoping that everybody gets through cleanly here. Once they'll do that, they can settle into their individual battles and go to work. Love to see a green to checker one here. We've had that many times before for USF2000. Ideally, the young drivers here have gotten it out of their system a little bit. I'm sure a number of them sitting down with our race control, race director Joel Miller, veteran driver, of course, in the Mazda program. Everybody settling in nicely here now. Kiko Porta goes to the lead. Christian Brooks into 2nd. Matt Roungarito 3rd. Orlando 4th, Green 5th, Rose 6th, Sundaramurthy 7th. Kohlbecker up into the 8th position, or 7th position rather. No, 8th as Rowe has gone into 6th. Good start there for Miles Rowe.
Single file still up at the front of the field. It's Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks, Matt Roungarito, Michael D'Orlando, and Josh Green. That is your top 5. 1 lap complete. I don't mean to be sarcastic when I say that, but that is good that everybody has been able to settle in. And now this is the kind of rhythm that you want to start to develop. You start to get the feel of the car underneath you, and as you said, assess the difference in the track conditions from when they were on track last first thing this morning, or very early this morning. It will have a very different feel in these USF2000 cars.
Indeed, that once you get into this kind of single file order, you'll also get into your own battles. You'll settle in, drivers in front of you, that's the guy you got to go to work on, not so much some of the craziness where you're trying to make that low-risk dive bomb move because the opportunity's there. You mentioned it, Todd, last race here in USF2000. The simple fact, you can get the most passes on that opening lap, right? And the problem is, drivers start to get a little too over-aggressive. Here's the battle for the lead now at turn number 1 over to turn 2. Christian Brooks hounding Kiko Porto. Brooks running P2 right now. You know, you wouldn't fault him for bringing home P2, getting those points, but he wants the double race win here in St. Petersburg. Able to get out of the first couple of races with the lead. We'll go to Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks, but right now Kiko Porto picking up where he left off last year.
You mentioned earlier that you don't talk about the championship, but you do think about it if you're Christian Brooks. When you do score a race victory, when you do have a great starting position, this becomes about managing your expectations as well. You're always looking for the opportunity to take that position away from Kiko Porto, especially less than 3/10 away in the first couple of laps. You're looking, and these cars will change as they go through the 20 laps of this race as well. A little bit of fuel will burn off. Which tires are a little more used and abused than some of the others? Are some of those fresh tires going to have an impact from the starters that did hold back a set for this race?
And they're going to be better at the end of the race, right? Maybe a little bit better early, but at the end of the race as well. We talked about Jackson Lee running in the 21st position right now. One of the drivers that has fresh tires, Dylan Christie as well. He's currently in 13th. Christie started 14th, so one spot, but it'll be later on in this race. Potentially those drivers will step things up. We'll again pick up some of the drivers, trying to see who's working their way forward right now. But again, you're right. These drivers can tell you straight up in the paddock that they'll take any move to make the lead, go for the lead. But the bottom line is, in the end, they'll start to consider the car. You're going to assess how good your car is as this race goes on. Can I make the move? Can I push to the edge here to try to get a pass by? Maybe it's not perfect. These tires are starting to go off. Again, only 3 sets for the 5 sessions. These guys are all, majority of these cars, two we know that went on stickers. Everybody else on tires they qualified on. So they've already taken the best out of those tires. It's now managing what you have left.
And that's part of the learning process as well with the USF2000 series. That is the objective. Everybody's here to learn and to improve their skills, to improve their racecraft. Managing your tires throughout an entire session and an entire weekend is part of that learning process for the drivers and for the teams as well. If you've got fresh tires in this race, you understand that you will have significantly better tires in the late going. It's better to be a little less aggressive in the early going, save those tires where you can really take advantage in the later stages.
Drivers rolling down the front straightaway, ducking on into turn number 1. You see the 5 of Spike Kohlbecker, the 19 as well of Andre Castro. Right behind them, the number 2 of Thomas DeVoe, and the 23 of Jace Denmark. Drivers making good moves right now. Eli Navarro started in the 22nd position. He's now up in the 16th spot. Ken Vaccaro not able to make the call, neither Bajoy Guard. Nolan Siegel was involved in that incident. He was able to come back. Michael Myers with right front damage in the contact with Bajoy Garg, the incident that caused Jace Denmark to get a 30-second penalty. Trey Burke back on the racetrack as well. Jackson Lee was able to sneak through. So the drivers that were involved, Garg and Vaccaro not able to start. The other drivers getting settled in further back.
A little bit of shuffling of position in the first few laps in the early go, and Yuven Sundramurthy has lost a spot and shifted back 1. Thomas DeVoe has also shifted back 1 spot from the early going as we're working lap 5 now. It's still Kiko Porto leading Christian Brooks by just over a half a second.
Billy Fraser, 4th spot in the opening round, in 15th right now. Fraser trying to see if he can't track down Dylan Christie. Last time by, Fraser quicker by 4/10 of a second to Dylan Christie. We got ourselves a couple of battles. Look at this fight here. That is a great battle there. The 11 of Campbell, the number 24 of Josh Pearson. Pearson able to get by Campbell. They were teammates last year in exclusive Autosport. This year, different teams. And Josh Pearson able to get by Prescott Campbell, move him up into the 12th spot. Campbell goes back to 13th. So those two drivers scrapping it out here. Again, last year for exclusive, this year moving to different teams. D-Force for Campbell, perhaps racing for Pearson.
Prescott Campbell's another one who had a little bit of trouble in that first race as well, had some wing damage, and was hoping that he was going to be able to hold on and muddle his way through. Unfortunately, that wing fell away. He lost the braking zone, wound up going off track and ending his session early. Yeah, it was a tough one for Nolan Siegel, or rather for Prescott Campbell, finishing deeper in the field, just 3 laps down. Back at 16th, there was so much carnage that it really wasn't that bad. He still was able to collect some points, able to put 5 more markers up. And remember, he came in
as the point leader and has fallen significantly down now. He'll try to fight his way back, but as they run on the racetrack right now, he is about 25 points behind Christian Brooks. Brooks still running P2. Kiko Porto out to about an 0.8 of a second lead. Ran about 0.2 faster than Christian Brooks last time by. So Porto out front nicely. Michael D'Orlando in the Cape Motorsports number 4, running in that 4th position. 4th last year in the championship. If you remember, D'Orlando's upside down midway through that race in turn number 1 for contact with he and Josh Green. Green now closing up there. Actually, Green's having a good scrap himself further back. I want to say that I think Miles Rowe may have got by Green for P5. I think that is indeed the case. Miles Rowe in the Force Indy machine, the number 99, I think up to P5. Tremendous outing here for Miles Rowe. Miles in race number 1, finishing in the 8th position, starting 9th. He's up to P5 right now. This is a pretty good fight for Miles, getting by Josh Green.
It's a lot of good action throughout this field. As you mentioned, there's been a little shuffling of positions with Yuvan Sundramurthy, Thomas Deveau. Billy Fraser, who you mentioned as well, is up a few spots from the start. He had a good move forward in that first race. Started 8th, managed to come up 4th, finished inside the top 5. So there's a lot of good movement that's already happening as we've gone working lap 7 here in the USF2000.
Yeah, look at this battle behind Miles Rowe. Miles has been able to pull out nicely over Yuvan Sundramurthy and Josh Green. Sundramurthy, so it's Rowe into 5th, Sundramurthy now 6th. Then this big gaggle of cars further back. They are scrapping it out here. That's Spike Colbecker, the 5. That is the 2 of Thomas Deveau, the 19 of Castro, the 23 of Denmark, the 24 of Pearson, Campbell, Christie, Fraser. What a great fight right now. Guys going at it. You can see, someone getting deep into the corner. Oh, that was almost an issue there. Driver got too deep, locking it up. Car was sideways under the brakes. I thought that was going to be chaos. Able to get through turn number 4. You know, it feels like things are starting to boil in this particular race. It feels like we're getting to a point where these guys are realizing it's the end of the weekend. They're ready to throw some laps down.
Well, I was just wondering, too, if this is the drivers starting to feel a little more comfortable, a little more at ease in their situation as we're working lap number 8 of 20. This is a longer green flag run than we had at any point in the race earlier this morning. But they're also having to navigate those used tires for the most part. So those tires will be going away perhaps a little bit quicker than they're expecting, and where they're thinking they may have a little grip and be able to make a move, they're finding the car starts to dance just a little bit.
Look at this big block move down to the inside. Watching that move there. That is the number 4, I believe. I think that was Michael D'Orlando getting by Matt Round-Garrido for P3, the final podium spot. Not sure if he actually finished the pass, getting through there. No, indeed, not quite by yet. That's going to bring Miles Rowe up into it. The number 99 Force Indy driver, P5 rather, now up ready to fight D'Orlando and Round-Garrido. MRG having a big scrap here with Michael D'Orlando, and that fight back and forth brought Miles Rowe into the hunt. About 2.5 seconds back is Sundramurthy, but he's got Josh Green, Spike Colbecker, Thomas Deveau, Andre Castro, Josh Pearson, Prescott Campbell, and Jace Denmark right there. This is unbelievable action. Oh, big move to the outside there. Can't quite pick up which driver that was. That was up front. That might have been Rowe and D'Orlando going at it. I think Rowe might be potentially into 4th.
This is the kind of action that we were hoping to see early this morning when the USF2000 cars hit the track. Unfortunately, we were hampered by too many yellow flags slowing the process and 1 red flag. We have gone green right from the start, now working at lap number 10 at the halfway point, green right from the start, and lots of good action.
Great shot of the drivers coming down into turn number 1. Indeed, the number 99 of Miles Rowe has been able to get by Michael D'Orlando. Miles Rowe now up into the 4th position. What a tremendous drive for the rookie, Miles Rowe, for Force Indy. What a great program, and he is stepping things up right now. How exciting is it to see these guys going at it here? The fight potentially for the podium. Rowe trying to get up there. He's P4, trying to go after Matt Round-Garrido.
Started in P7, has gained the 3 positions up to P4, 0.7 of a second behind Matt Round-Garrido, and that is certainly a process that he can move through and gain those 0.1 of a second back. The way he's moved forward, that's a nice showing in the first half of this race.
Miles Rowe, that team, that Force Indy team, big part of IndyCar's race for equality and diversity. a number of African Americans part of that team. People coming through Coach Rod Reed's program, his next gen racing program, the karting program he has at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, bringing a lot of African Americans into the program, the diversity program, picking that driver they wanted. Miles Rowe was the guy they elected to go with in the first season. This thing's going to go to a 2-car effort next year, and wow, stepping it up, Miles Rowe showing the Force Indy, ready to be a force here at USF 2000.
Working lap number 11, it remains Kiko Porto out front. Christian Brooks follows. Matt Brown-Garrido third. Miles Rowe from 7th up to 4th. And Michael D'Orlando rounding out the top 5.
Right behind them, Yuvan Sundermurthy, Josh Green, good scrap there as well. That is for 6th and 7th. 8th is Spike Kohlbecker, Thomas DeVoe at 9th. Andre Castro 10th. Nose to tail, these drivers so close together. Tough here as well. When you get right up behind a driver, you start to lose a bit of air off the front wing. You battle that aero wash. You've got to get through the hairpin to turn 14. That's the key. That's when you make the run down the straightaway. The wind's essentially coming into your face right now. You've got to be able to beat your driver out of turn 14 to make that move down into turn number 1.
These winds have been very strong this afternoon. It's something that these drivers really would not have dealt with this morning, trying to set up a pass, again, because we did not have a lot of consistent green flag running, but the winds are much stronger than they have been earlier today.
Watch this right now. Miles Rowe setting up on D'Orlando. Do we get a pass down into turn number 1? In fact, he's already by. This is Miles Rowe trying to go after Matt Round-Garrido. Rowe around the outside. Going to try to hug the outside. Round-Garrido not going to give him the room. Side by side coming through the corner. Is there contact? There is not. Wow. Miles Rowe got himself to the outside of the corner. There's a huge rumble. A big curving on the outside of that corner. Miles Rowe almost flipped himself over and almost contact there. Oh, Miles Rowe pushing at the entry of turn number 4. I think he's hard into the wall. He got together with Yuvan Sundermurthy. We'll see full course yellow on the racetrack here momentarily. Hard impact on the outside wall of turn number 4 for Miles Rowe, I believe. Rowe pushing so hard to try to work his way into position. Tried to get to the outside of, it could be the 22. Our spotter's telling me that could be Yuvan Sundermurthy and not Miles Rowe. Rowe pushed into turn up. Yeah, that would make more sense because Sundermurthy was on the outside. Rowe came to the inside, made contact with him, and shoved him into the wall. Yuvan Sundermurthy, one of the point leaders, finds himself into the wall. Both cars black, tough to see. But wow, we'll get a replay of that momentarily when the crew racks it up. But wow, this is going to bring a haltage here. Full course yellow around the racetrack. Kiko Porto, your leader. Christian Brooks, second. Matt Round-Garrido, third. You just wonder what the mindset was for Miles Rowe there. Tried to go to the outside. I'd love to see that replay as well, if possible. Indeed, Yuvan Sundermurthy falling down the order, as is Miles Rowe. So you got to expect some potential, I'm going to say left front damage for Miles Rowe in the 99. But Todd, around the outside of turn 1, trying to get back over. And there is a huge curve, which is essentially turn 2 there, that kind of 2 complex. You saw him launch up over the curb and come back down, lost some spots. Tried to make up for it. Sundermurthy got by. He dove to the inside of turn number 4, and we're definitely going to see a replay on that. You can see as he got in there, got into the side of Yuvan Sundermurthy. He's in the wall. Miles Rowe falling down the order as well. So tough one for these guys here, and man, you hate to see it because that racing was the best we've had all weekend long.
And the USF2000 class, absolutely. Miles Rowe with a tremendous run starting to move up and had gained 3 positions and was working on Yuvan Sundermurthy. And as you said, that left side of the car gets popped up into the air, and when you destabilize the car like that coming back down, it takes you a second or 2 to collect it and get the wheels back underneath you and ensure that you have the grip. Meantime, you're still moving at a high rate of speed forward, and Miles Rowe saw that there was still perhaps an opportunity to gain that position from Yuvan Sundermurthy, wound up contacting and taking both of them out.
I don't know how high he got in the air, how he didn't then come down into the side of Matt Round-Garrido. That I was sure that when we cut to the camera looks back at turn 3, it was going to be carnage across the racetrack because everybody else was coming through. Luckily able to bring the car down. Miles able to control it, but as you said again, you lose that. Number 1, you're trying for 3rd, then you lose 4th. And then you're like, I got to do something to minimize the damage here. And the big move to the inside, had he been able to get the pass done, would have stacked everybody up behind him. They would have got him back in position. But I could see that as he got into the corner, and with Yuvan on the outside, you could just see how much wheel that Miles had into the car, and it was pushing in a big way. We're going to have a look at the replay here, I believe, folks, and I think this will be the passing attempt, the repass back in turn number 4. We'll have a look at it here right now. Yeah, this is from the other side. Drivers coming through. You can see Miles Rowe locking up the brakes as well. He gets into the back of Yuban Sundermurthy. Yuban making hard contact with the tires, spinning it around, and then as his car rotated, he gets back into Miles Rowe. And in fact, Miles has got the rear wing. If you look at it, so there's damage to the left rear of Miles. He's got the front wing of Yuban Sundermurthy, taking that with him. Everybody else taking evasive maneuvers not to hit the rest of the damaged parts that are strewn across the racetrack there. I'll tell you, this championship just keeps changing. I know it's so early in the season. Prescott Campbell came in with the championship lead, Todd. He's had an issue. Oh, here's the other shot. You can see, look at, that's a really shallow entry for Miles Rowe. Yuban starting to come down to the corner, and there's no way Miles is making that corner, carrying that much speed into the braking zone. That's why he went straight into the side of Sundermurthy.
2 cars trying to squeeze through the space where only one will fit, and it's just everything squeezes down on that apex.
I think it's more the fact that anytime you have a more shallow entry, you have to brake earlier and more aggressively, because you're not going to be able to make the corner. You can't take the guy on the outside's got a wider arc. You've got a shorter arc. You're going to have to take a lower corner speed there. And when you don't do that, if you keep the same speed, you're trying to make the corner because it was a late pass. He didn't have the position. He was lunging for the apex. Unless that guy on the outside is going to give it to you, you're going to have to go farther. Your exit's going to be a lot farther down the racetrack, and that's essentially exit was the side of Yuban Sundermurthy.
Working lap 14 under full course caution, first and only caution so far in this USF2000 series. Kiko Porto remains out front, started from pole. He's followed by Christian Brooks. Matt Roundgarrido is running in third. Michael D'Orlando in the 4th position. Josh Green in the top 5. Spike Kohlbecker 6th. Thomas Naveau moves up. Andre Castro and then Josh Pearson. And there's Prescott Campbell, who's managed to climb his way forward a little bit in this and is gaining a couple of spots after those 2 cars have fallen out.
To put the cap on my thought about the championship, and again, like we said, out of the gate, Yuban Sundermurthy wins the first race at Barber. Turnaround, Prescott Campbell, second in the first race, wins race number 2, got the point lead coming in. We know he's had a bit of a rough weekend here. Didn't have the greatest of runs, got into the wall in turn 14 in race number 1. Yuban Sundermurthy and Christian Brooks end up being tied for points after the first race of the weekend here, 66 points. Yuban's now on the wall. He's 24th. He drops down to 67 points. Kiko Porto, as he runs, would now move into second in points with 79, and it would be a 13-point lead, I believe, for Christian Brooks over Kiko Porto as they run on the racetrack. It's just tough when you come to a track like this. We say to these drivers, you can finish second in every race of the year and you're going to win the championship. It's these DNFs when you're finishing outside the top 20, especially with a deep field now, Todd. You're finishing out of the points. You're finishing down the order, and that really, really hurts.
That's what every team is looking for, is you want that consistency. You're not going to have a winning car at every track on every race day. If you haven't got a winning car, then you have to maximize your points available. If you have a 3rd place car, achieve a 3rd place finish. If you have a 5th place car, get a 5th place finish, but don't get a 10th place finish if you're a 5th place car.
If you're 5th, fight for 4th, but we'll take the 5th, because if you look at our point structure, 20th on down, 1 point. It's 30 points to win a race. You know, with them fast lap of the race leading the most laps, you can simply not afford a DNF. And I'll tell you, when Christian Brooks had a little bit of trouble in qualifying at Barber, he said, I'm here to make some points. A couple of top 5 finishes. Not happy. He wanted to win races. But he left there saying, hey, you know what? I made some good points there. Comes to St. Petersburg, a win in round number 1, running P2 here in round number 2. What a great opportunity for him to leave here with a massive point lead.
Kiko Porto, Christian Brooks, and Matt Roundgarrido are the top 3. Michael D'Orlando and Josh Green are the top 5 as they run. Everybody lined up looking like we're getting set for a restart here with what should be 5 laps to go.
Yeah, 5 to go when we come back. And I'll tell you one thing, this straightaway is so long, hold your breath, because P2 is not a bad place to be. Kiko Porto punches on that throttle, rolls it on. Here we come down the straightaway. Wind right in his face. Christian Brooks right with him. Matt Roundgarrido there as well. Here comes Porto to the bottom of the racetrack. Brooks is going to go to the outside. Roundgarrido down to the bottom. A little bit of an overcook there. Yeah, big wide arc there for Kiko Porto. Christian Brooks around the outside. Book it. Brooks goes to P1. Porto overcooks the entry to turn number 1, and Christian Brooks tucks down the inside. He takes full advantage. Matt Roungarito thinking about the inside as well. They're side by side through turn number 4, through 5. Porto holding on to the spot. Further back, Josh Green going to work on Michael D'Orlando. Stack him and pack him through turn 7, 8, and 9. What a great start to this one, Todd.
Now it's time to go. Everybody's got in the field. They had that long green flag run in the early going. Everybody understands what the track feels like, what their car feels like. And again, with the field bunched up for the restart, this is the best opportunity to make up positions. Christian Brooks taking advantage of it, and that fight up front is continuing for second place now between Kiko Porto and Matt Roungarito.
Yeah, Matt Roungarito trying to find a way by. Michael D'Orlando wanting to capitalize as well. Back into the hairpin at turn number 14. And again, Roungarito trying to get a good run out of that corner. Christian Brooks taking full advantage of that restart. Kiko just went to the inside, lightly overcooked it. Further back, look at this defensive move here with number 34. That's Dylan Christie. He's on the fresh tires. He's trying to hold off Billy Fraser. Fraser's going to take a run around the outside. I think Fraser's going to grab that spot. Indeed, he does. Fraser into the 12th position now, getting around the outside of Dylan Christie. So move the Kiwi up into 12th. He'll go to work now on Jace Denmark out front. 4 laps to go. Christian Brooks looking to double up here on the weekend. Porto trying to maximize points. He'll go to P2 after getting overtaken on the restart. Matt Roungarito, his hands full with Michael D'Orlando, but Josh Green looks like he's one of the most aggressive drivers in the top 5 right now.
Exactly, and there's a lot of maneuvering through there. Thomas Naveau has moved up. Spike Kohlbecker has moved up as well. That's a nice run again for Billy Fraser. We mentioned him a little bit earlier, had a good run in the first race, was able to improve his position. Again, he's taken advantage and worked his car forward and is now up to the 12th or 13th position.
Yeah, Spike Kohlbecker is the one that's impressing me now as well. Here's a guy that I think is going to keep coming on. A top 10 finish in the opening race. Now P6 now. I like what Kohlbecker's doing here. His first season, of course, of USF2000 competition. The Ignite Autosport with Kate Motorsports driver. He is putting on a show in that number 5 machine, the St. Louis driver, having a good run. And again, look at Billy Fraser up that spot, as we said. There goes Michael Myers going to work to the inside, and Trey Berg can't quite get the job done there. Trey Berg running in 19th, Michael Myers in 20th.
Christian Brooks has taken over top spot from Kiko Porter, Matt Roungarito in 3rd. Michael D'Orlando still with sights set on 3rd place. He's just 3/10 behind Matt Roungarito. Josh Green rounding out the top 5.
That pass for Christian Brooks, huge in the championship. As they run on the racetrack now, I believe he would have a 23-point lead on Kiko Porto coming out of the weekend. Laps winding down here right now. It'll be 2 to go next time by. Brooks, Porto, Roungarito, D'Orlando and Green. Top 5 here right now. Top rookie, Spike Kohlbecker in 6th, then Thomas Naveau 7th, and then all the way down to Jace Denmark in 11th. That restart, always tough here. Parker Thompson and I have talked about it before. It's almost like you don't want to be the leader on the start. You've really got to get a good run. You've almost got to stack them up. If you're too quick coming out of turn number 14, the hairpin, they're all right with you. You almost got to check up a little bit to hold everybody back. This is the best battle on the racetrack right now, though. Michael D'Orlando in the K Motorsports 4. Absolutely hounding Matt Roungarito in the exclusive Autosport number 92. That's the fight for the final position on the podium. Orlando trying to bounce back, of course, from the issue in race number 1.
And that's what he's been learning through his first 17, 18 laps of this race. Find the competitor in front of you, watch where you are around the track, see where there might be an opening, see where there might be an opportunity for you to make that pass. Late stages of the race, only going to be another couple of opportunities around this circuit to get it done. In
the mind, though, of D'Orlando, it's got to be a assertive move. You can't do a low risk here. He cannot salvage, end up having another DNF. Contact with Matt Roungarito, they both go out. Your season's almost done in terms of trying to win a championship because it's just so tough to come back after a couple of DNFs. He almost needs to be comfortable here to take 4th. Just get that spot. If you can push Roungarito into a mistake, go for it. Otherwise, don't make that error. 1 to go this time by. White flag flying at start finish. Kiko Porto trying to close back up here on Christian Brooks.
Kiko Porto has closed up a couple of tenths over the last few laps, and there's the move for Michael D'Orlando to the inside. Can he make it stick on Roungarito? So far, yes.
Contact at the exit. Roungarito trying to do the over-under. Not able to get the job done, so move Roungarito back into the 4th spot. He's going to worry about Josh Green now and Green's going to get aggressive. He's got the spot still. Good job for Michael D'Orlando getting into the position. Round Garrido holding him back. They'll stack him up behind him. It's D'Orlando, Round Garrido, Green, Kohlbecker, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Into the pit lane comes the 42 of Michael Myers. An issue on the penultimate lap for him. Final circuit, though, for Christian Brooks down into turn number 10. Got to get through cleanly here. The Californian trying to score 2 wins here on a Saturday at St. Petersburg. Porto, though, Kiko, the Brazilian, hounding him through turn 10. Ultra fast, flat out through turns number 12 and 13 into the hairpin turn 14. Christian Brooks trying to get a good run out of the corner. Kiko, Porto trying to close, but he will not do it. Ladies and gentlemen, in St. Petersburg and USF2000, back-to-back jacks for Christian Brooks, the exclusive Autosport driver, winning both ends of the doubleheader here in St. Petersburg. He will take a massive lead to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 23 points now the advantage. Kiko Porto coming home in second. Michael D'Orlando third. Matt Round Garrido's put himself into the championship contention as well. 46 points for Matt Round Garrido. P4. Josh Green fifth. Spike Kohlbecker, top finishing rookie driver in sixth spot. Thomas Nouveau in seventh. Andre Castro eighth. Prescott Campbell ninth. And 10th goes to Josh Pearson. What a run for Billy Fraser as well. I got to give props to Billy. We talked about him coming from 18th position up into 12th. 6th position improvement for Fraser. Excellent drive for him.
As you mentioned, Prescott Campbell, too, as well. He started well back in the field in 16th spot and finds himself with a top 10 result.
7 position advancement for Prescott, which is crucial to keep him back in the championship. He's now third in the title chase, just 24 points back. So a good recovery after a tough weekend. But, folks, what a great run. As I said, back-to-back jacks for Christian Brooks. He won here last year, the final round of the season. He likes the track here, knew he was going to be good coming in. But 2 wins, big for him after a couple of top 5s. 4 straight top 5s. But you put the 2 wins in there, and it makes it even sweeter.
That's a very good weekend. Here is your top 10. Christian Brooks comes away with the second victory in as many races this weekend here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Kiko Porto comes home second, started on the pole, but it was Christian Brooks who made the bold move, got around him. Michael D'Orlando with the last lap pass and goes from upside down to up on the podium here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Had that problem earlier this morning. Matt Round Garrido and Josh Green rounding out the top 5. Then it's Spike Kohlbecker. Thomas Nouveau moves up 1 spot from his starting position. Lost a few spots in the early going, but bounced back. Andre Castro. Prescott Campbell gained 7 spots from his 18th starting spot on the grid to finish 9th. And then Josh Pearson rounds out the top 10 here in the USF2000 Series race number 2. Here having a look at the rest of the unofficial race results. Jace Denmark and Billy Fraser started 18th, moved up to 12th, and had himself a nice run. Eric Evans looking a little further down. Peter Vodanovich and Jackson Lee, Trey Burke, and Evan Stamer. We only had the 1 yellow flag period through this race as opposed to the 5 that we had in the race early this morning, but it was significant. Miles Rowe, who had moved forward from 8th on the starting grid, had made his way forward and was looking to try to get himself up onto the podium, had contact going through corner number 2 and 3, lost a position, had contact with Yuvan Sundramoorthy, wound up taking the 2 of them out with contact, both having hard contact with the wall, most notably Yuvan Sundramoorthy, and it was Miles Rowe who collected the front wing on his way back. Here again, the unofficial results. Rob Howden is making his way down to the victory podium, and as you see, there is Christian Brooks, who is stepping out of that car to the warm embrace of his team after a strong run, a terrific run here on the streets of St. Petersburg. He will sweep the weekend. Kiko Porto started on the pole, but it was Christian Brooks who took the victory and snagged it away from him. Rob Howden will have the victory podium momentarily, and he wants the whole team involved in this one. He wants the whole team there to celebrate, and understandably so, after such a terrific run to sweep the weekend here in St. Petersburg. In 2017, Steps Towing and Heavy Transport was named the official towing and transport company of the Firestone Grand Prix. They continue to be an integral part of the Grand Prix track build, track dismantling, and race day support in beautiful downtown St. Pete. Steps pairs the team's unmatched experience with the right equipment to handle any complicated job quickly, safely, and with ease. No job is too small, no problem too big. Make a pit stop online at stepstowing.com to check out a complete list of services or stay connected by following Steps on Facebook. Independently owned and operated, Steps Services have been proudly serving the Tampa Bay area for over 60 years. Steps, the name you can trust. Christian Brooks, the name up at the top of the timesheets once again, sweeping the weekend here in the USF2000 series. The other two steps on the road to Indy will be back on track tomorrow. We'll kick things off first thing in the morning at 8 a.m. We will go green with Indy Pro 2000 racing. Then the NTT IndyCar Series warm-up takes place, a 30-minute warm-up before tomorrow's race, where Colton Herta will lead the field to green, alongside Jack Harvey on the front row, defending race winner ×2, Joseph Newgarden, will start third. The Indy Lights race, race number 2, will go green at about 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. 40 laps of action. It was Kyle Kirkwood leading a flag to flag in race number 1 for the Indy Lights Series earlier today. Stadium Super Trucks with race number 2, and then the feature event of the weekend, the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Pre-race ceremonies at the noon hour. Green flag expected at about 12:42 p.m. Colton Herta leading the field to green. Jack Harvey on the outside of the front row with his best ever starting spot in the NTT IndyCar Series. It's a Penske lockout in row number 2. Joseph Newgarden, we mentioned, will roll off third, looking for his third consecutive victory. And Simon Pagenaud, who struggled a little bit to find some speed this weekend, found it during the qualifying. He qualified fourth. Former race winner here as well, the hometown favorite from St. Petersburg, Sebastien Bourdais, will also be in the top 5 tomorrow morning. Such a terrific day. First 2 days here, in fact, at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. The crowd has been significant both days. It will be even bigger tomorrow, and it's because of your help and your cooperation that we've been able to do that. Following our COVID-19 protocols, we will continue to have temperature checks as you enter, and then if you exit again and re-enter, you will have to go through the same COVID-19 temperature checks. Please keep your face masks on at all times, whether you're wandering around the festival grounds, where there is so much to see and do, so many food options and so much great merchandise and so many displays and exhibits to see here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Keep those face masks on, and please at all times keep in mind social distancing. Maintain 6 feet between you and others wherever possible. Once again, it is Christian Brooks who comes away the winner. Kiko Porto with a second-place finish, and Michael D'Orlando with the third-place finish. A last-lap pass around Garrido, and then Josh Green rounding out the top 5. We'll get going again first thing tomorrow morning with more racing action. There are 4 more races tomorrow. We had 7 today, and some tremendous action. The doubleheader from the USF2000 series, the doubleheader from the MX5 Cup series as well, with sensational finishes and a lot of action. Stadium Super Trucks put on a terrific show, a little bit abbreviated because of a red flag, but they will be back again tomorrow for a lot more excitement. We appreciate your help and cooperation and all that you have been doing to follow our COVID-19 protocols, and make sure that you are enjoying the full scope of events here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. The road to Indy Paddock is open. You can get through there with your admission tickets. Let's join Rob Howden for the victory podium ceremonies for the USF2000 series.
Thank you so much, Todd. Again, down here in Tatis Victory Lane, USF2000 capping off their events here in St. Petersburg with what was a tremendous battle. We saw chaos in the first race, but they settled down here for race number 2, and we saw some tremendous racing up front. Great drive here, making the pass late in the event, coming from 4th up to 3rd, folks. He was upside down in race number 1. How about giving the guy a round of applause for being 3rd here? Michael D'Orlando from Cape Motorsports. P3 with a move on Matt Garrido. Great dive down the inside of turn number 1 to get the job done and really keep him back in the championship fight. Finishing in the 2nd spot, led a majority of the race, just got pipped there on the restart, but nonetheless, 2nd place in points right now. He'll be a championship contender when it's all said and done. 2nd place from D-Force Racing, Kiko Porto. Excellent run for Kiko. One more position on the podium, and coming in here, he was a race winner last year in the final round of the season, able to get in here and get the job done here this weekend. A pass late, as we said on that restart. He is the winner of both races. Back-to-back Jacks here at St. Petersburg for Exclusive Autosport. The winner, Christian Brooks. Christian Brooks, tremendous drive there. Put the pressure on Kiko Porto all race long. Kiko did not flinch, but it was that restart. Kiko having just a bit of trouble getting those tires up to temperature, locked up the brakes into turn number 1. Christian able to do the over-under to hold the spot and get out of turn number 3 with that lead, and I believe unofficially points probably around 23-point lead leading St. Petersburg here, but we have ourselves a tremendous fight. And another thing we love about this road to Indy, 3 different teams on the podium as well. Exclusive Autosport, Kiko Porto in the D-Force car, and Michael D'Orlando in Cape Motorsports. Champagne flying, and that caps off the day for the Cooper Tires USF2000 ship. Caps off their entire weekend as well. They're done. They'll look forward to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the road course event in mid-May. Otherwise, we're done here. 2 more races tomorrow. Indy Pro 2000 and Indy Lights will cap off their doubleheaders. But again, here in USF 2000, what a weekend for the American driver out of Santa Clarita, California. Christian Brooks scoring the victory today. Kiko Porto in second. Michael D'Orlando in third. Tremendous racing all around. Back up to Todd Lewis in the booth.
Thank you, Rob Howden. Congratulations to Christian Brooks with the sweep of the weekend. Congratulations to all the winners of the 7 races on today's Saturday schedule here.
Welcome back, race fans, to Road to Indy TV Live. I'm your host, Parker Thompson, and I am joined today by Cam Shields, rookie in Indy Pro 2000. And it wasn't so long ago that you were on pole here in USF 2000. 6 months ago, actually, almost to the day that you were on pole here in USF 2000. So, Cam, how does it feel to be back?
Excellent to be back. Really enjoying my time here. It's been quite a difficult weekend for me, and after being on pole position last year, leading the race, we were really hoping to build on that result, but unfortunately we had some throttle position sensor issues in pit lane. I missed the start of the race. We're 2 laps down, so cut our race short, unfortunately, but really looking forward to getting out there tomorrow morning and make up some positions.
And Cam, you showed great pace to start the year. I mean, 4th place at the first race at Barber Motorsports Park. You were one of the most impressive rookies coming in. We had a really interesting chat off the air, and this is actually something that I haven't heard from any Indy Pro 2000 teams. We'll be having a segment coming up very shortly about the change in engine, obviously coming down over 1,000 RPM on this engine. Cam, tell me what you told me off air. It's actually really changing the ride height because you're not going as fast.
Yeah, I mean, the cars so far dynamically have changed a lot. We've reduced our RPM this year with the engine, and it's all to improve our reliability with the car and the engine. So that is definitely better. We've seen that right away now, so that's excellent to see for the series. But that has certainly affected the car as well. So now that we're not going quite as quick at the end of the straight, the car's not sucking down to the track as much, and because of that, our ride height has to change. As soon as the ride height changes as well, that changes the dynamic for the suspension system. So it's quite a different package we're running this year than what other drivers were running last year. So that's what we're working on as a team right now, to figure out exactly what the car needs, what it wants, and how to get that out.
No, it was a really interesting segment. For those of you who don't know, I drove last year for D-Force Racing, so Cam and I had a chat. Obviously, you were probably starting with something close to what I ran last year in terms of setup, and he said, no, Parker, the car has changed so much with not having that suction to the ground, not having the extra, what would be downforce with speed. Very interesting note, and I really appreciate you bringing that up. How are you enjoying the Indy Pro 2000 car from the USF17 car?
Oh, I really, really enjoy it. We've got more power, more tire, more aero. It's just faster. So I really enjoy it. I love it. And surprisingly, I think it's easier to drive on the street circuit. With that more grip, it gives you a lot more comfortability to run up to the walls. We're running closer to the walls than what you could in the USF. In the USF, it's got less downforce, so it tends to be a little bit more loose. So if you're running within half a foot to the wall, there's a good chance you might slide and brush it. But there's a lot more stability in the Indy Pro car, so we can extract more out of it as a driver, and really enjoying that aspect so far.
Perfect. Cam, you've got your race 2 coming up bright and early tomorrow morning. What's the goals for race 2?
Well, for me, it's just going to be moving forward. It's a really difficult track to pass on, especially in these cars. We get a lot of aero wash, so it's very hard to follow, particularly through turn 2, turn 3 in this circuit. So really looking forward to maximizing what I get out of the car and hoping to capitalize on some mistakes in front of me.
No, that's perfect. Cam, thank you so much for coming on the post-race show. And coming up, we will be talking to Race 2 USF 2000 winner Christian Brooks. Stay tuned.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin. And Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Welcome back to Road to Indy TV Live. It wasn't so long ago I spoke with your team owner, Michael Duncalf, and I said I didn't have a guy that's ever won 2 races in one day, but lo and behold, Christian Brooks had to go out and prove me wrong. Christian, race 1 and 2 winner of USF2000. You swept the weekend. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, especially after struggling at the first 2 rounds, my confidence wasn't at its peak coming into St. Pete, but I knew the team had the speed, the cars were amazing, and I was proven here before, so just had to make sure I hit my marks the whole time. Qualifying is always super important, as you know, in any Road to Indy event. And we had a 1-2 in qualifying. I knew I was going to be able to hang on to the first starting position for the victory, but the second starting spot, I didn't think it would be easy. So front tires were gone by the end of the race, and just managed to get the pass done on the restart and hold it all the way to the finish. I mean, the exclusive guys gave me such a good car that lasted the whole race, and I just can't believe it.
So that segues into a great question. You spent the whole race, or what was 15 laps behind Kiko Porto. Is that why the front tires were gone? Is just that aero wash, you couldn't keep them?
Yeah, so once I got into the aero wash, the front tires just start going away drastically, and trying to push the entries as much as you can, because you really can't gain on the exits in these cars, especially on a tight circuit like this one. So just pushing the entries a little too hard, having a little bit of front locking, and also all that aero wash induces so much understeer that the front tires by that time were just completely gone.
Well, I don't think anybody at home was thinking, oh, let's count Christian Brooks out, because a restart comes up lap 15 of 20, and you capitalize. Take me through the move to get into the lead.
So I wasn't expecting to be able to get to the lead, because when I was in the front, I was able to get really good restarts out of that corner every time in the last race. So I expected to pick up a lot of aero wash out of the final corner and have 3 or 4 cars between me and Kiko, but I think he had a little bobble going into the corner. I was able to tuck out of the aero wash, get on the clean air, and was able to get on power early and power out. He went to defend coming into the first corner, and I just swung wide, broke on the grip, and he didn't have any grip down there when he broke, so he locked the right front, and we just got the good old karting crossover. Got him into the next corner. It was super close. Kiko's a very respectful driver. He gave me plenty of room. Well, not plenty, but just enough to make it through the corner. And it was amazing. That's respectful racing, and I expect nothing less of him. We've raced together many times, and it's always a pleasure.
So you were leading the championship by a substantial margin coming into race 2. Did that play into how aggressive you were going for the lead?
I wasn't even going to make any sort of risky move for the win.
Wow, okay.
I was just going to make sure I took the points.
It's so funny. Rob Howden and I had a bet, and I bet that you were going for it. I didn't even think you were going to think of the championship. But look at this, Christian Brooks. He's maturing, ladies and gentlemen. He's sitting back and going, okay, I've got control of this championship. Let's not let it go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were talking as a team before the race, and I knew it wouldn't be easy. Like I said previously, if that yellow didn't come out, I would have had to make a bonsai move if I wanted any chance of the win. And I wasn't going to do that. I was never even close enough to go for it, except for on the first lap. And going on the start, I locked up and almost had a moment. So definitely always want to keep the points into consideration, something I didn't do a great job of last year. So trying to better my driving, better my career, and think about that championship. The goal is obviously to win the championship and make it to Indy Pro. And as long as we keep those solid points in the bag, I think we'll be able to.
So you complete the crossover, or what I thought was a completed crossover, because Kiko missed it by quite a bit, breaking across the paint down the inside. You're side by side with him headed into turn 2, which I don't know if you've seen any video around here. Turn 2 does not have room for 2 cars. It is as wide as a sidewalk. So at what point were you going to bail out of it? At what point were you so committed that if you bailed out of it, you were going to crash anyway?
Well, the scariest part about it was he was coming at such an angle when I was coming around the outside that I was very surprised that he was able to slow down. But once I was there, I was there. You know,
Yeah.
Once you're already in that position, which I'm sure you've been there in that corner, you have to commit to it. So committed to it, and it was very sketchy. Out on the marbles, the car got super loose. I myself came super close to hitting the wall, and Kiko came about millimeters from hitting me. So it was probably the best move I've ever made, I think.
I would say it ranks up there.
It definitely ranks up there, and I'm just glad I was able to make it through clean.
Well, and it's high-speed chess. I mean, I don't know how much you calculated it, but if you squeeze him down too much, he's going to touch the curb and wash up into you. If you give him too much room, you're in the marbles, and now you're trying to keep your car out of the wall. So to come through there, both of you got through 1-2 is quite impressive, Christian.
Yeah, I was thinking it could have been bad, but when I came out of there alive, I was so pumped.
So your team owner, Michael Duncalf, he's down there watching us have this live interview. Take me through the emotions for him. You won with him at the start of the day. Now you win with him at the end of the day. What was that radio communication like? Was he tired? Was he excited?
It's actually funny because I was cursing and I was so happy that I was just cursing and cursing, and he's like, yeah, Brooksy, but stop cursing because everybody's listening to you. So yeah, I mean, he's super pumped. You drove for Michael. He's an amazing guy, amazing team owner, and he's just thrilled. I mean, he won an Indy Pro, and then he had 2 wins in USF. I mean, I think it's the best couple days he's had in his career so far. So it's amazing. Hopefully that Braden or Petrov are able to capitalize on the Indy Pro tomorrow. And I mean, if that happens, it could be 1-1-1-1, which was the goal coming in here. So, I mean, I couldn't imagine how happy he is right now.
Christian, your first weekend sweep. You keep your track record for the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg and pretty well maximum points this weekend. It's got to feel good. Congratulations, and thank you very much for coming on the show. Best of luck for the rest of the year.
Thanks, Parker. Appreciate it.